So can you tell me a little about yourself?
Well, I'm Wayne Vidzicki. I'm Director of Collections and Premium Audit at Berkshire Hathaway Guard Insurance. Been there 15 years. Started in collections. Did collections for about a year and a half. During that year and a half, I did some actual collection work and learned very quickly that in order to be effective at collecting on workers' comp premiums, you had to understand premium audit. So I taught myself premium audit and eventually was transferred to our premium audit department. Worked in our premium audit department for about 8 years, worked up to manager of that department. And when I became manager of that department, our company had elected to create a collections department, a dedicated collections department. We did collections, but it wasn't dedicated in one unit. We decided to create one unit dedicated to that, and then they asked me to move from manager of premium audit to manager of collections, which I did in 2013, and then did that for about 2 years. And I was asked to manage premium audit again, along with collections, which is currently what I do now.
So you're in a unique position being both premium audits manager and collection manager. How does this help when trying to resolve non-completed audits?
The approach that we took was we recognized areas where people would complete them when you have the cancellations out in the current policy, stuff like that. And so we identified all those triggers and we said, okay, after all those triggers are set off, we should start pursuing these. And the most economical way to pursue them was through collection agencies, right? Because the collection agencies just get paid based on a fee of what they collect. So if they collect nothing, they don't get nothing. So I didn't dedicate a lot of resources to it, you know, kind of farm them out with the expectation that the billed premium on those would be similar to what our billed premium would be on our regular audits that people were doing. And we found that, in fact, it was more, and we were collecting that money, and it was a real windfall. You know, so.
Tell me about your internal process and internal collections.
So one of the things that we have done as a company is we try to recognize customer behavior, right? And again, that's what triggers are going to make people pay, right? Cancellations don't get issued until something becomes past due. A lot of times, you know, these insureds, they've had these policies for years and years and years. They recognize that they'll get to past due, the cancellation will come out. They'll wait the day before the policy is ready to cancel, and then they'll come to the table and do whatever they want to do. So, you know, one of the things that I try to teach all of the collectors in our unit is to just be able to understand customer behavior. You know, you have a large number of policies coming in collections. You have to be able to look through them and review them and understand where they fall in the pecking order. When you got to call, when you don't got to call, when you need to call, all right? And, you know, you do that initial assessment when they come in. So like my guys, you know, the first day a policy comes in collections, they review them all, the very first day. And, you know, when they go through that first pass and that first screening, they'll know this is one I need to start calling on right now. Obviously, the higher dollar balances on, you get on those right away. This one, there's a cancellation out there, or whatever the situation might be. And they'll be able to determine, you know, the best way to approach their workflow. And by doing that, you know, they're all the resources that are being dedicated in the right place at the right time, right? You don't want to get 50 policies in collections and have them call on 50 policies when 25 of them or 35 of them are going to resolve themselves eventually without any real pursuit by you. So I think my guys got, you know, my folks, they've gotten pretty good at doing that. But again, we're always learning, right? And, you know, a lot of times, you know, now it's getting to the point where they can start looking at these larger dollar balances and they can look into audits and they can figure out a lot of times where there's going to be people disputing and all this other stuff. I mean, one of the things that I always tell my collectors as soon as I hire them, you know, a lot of people think collections is just collecting money. It's not. Your job is to resolve debt, right? A large part of that's collecting money, but people make mistakes and there are errors and there are whatever. So the idea is you're always looking just to resolve the issue. Collect undisputed premium, manage your workflow appropriately, right? Because you want to be able to maximize the amount of work that your staff can do, right? And then the second part of it is establishing good business partnerships with the collection vendors that are going to be doing your work, right? So you want to make sure that you have a process that you're getting them the work soon enough. You know, you don't want to wait too long to get them the stuff. You want to make sure you're giving them all the information that they need on a particular file, you know, so they're not in the dark when they're going in there, so that they know exactly what to do. And you know, you want to create points of contact so that information can flow pretty quickly, right?
What are some of your expectations from your collection vendor?
First and foremost, they're an extension of you, right? So when they're dealing with your, now granted, with our collection agencies, by the time it's going to them, technically speaking, that insured really isn't our customer anymore, right? Because we're no longer insuring the risk. But that being said, that company's still an extension of you, right? So you want to make sure that that company is acting in a professional manner, right? And that they're treating our insureds with the correct degree of respect. Another big thing that is very big for me is the relationship part. So all of the service representatives for the collection agencies that we use, they need to have good communication with the people that we have on the floor and with me. And the management team has to have good communication with me. You know, we got to keep each other informed of what it is that we're doing. I mean, you know, our company, we've gone into a lot of different lines, and you kind of got to let the collection agencies know, here's what you can expect, and here's how much we're growing, and you know. But it's got to be a constant process. So, you know, I expect communication to be very, very good, right? I expect that there's a high degree of professionalism, right? And I should see it through the work. And finally, I expect there to be really good results, right? So when I look at the collection results at the end of the day, you know, I have benchmarks that I set, and then every year you try to beat those, right? You try to get a little bit better than you were before. So it's a constant process.
So do you have any advice for companies when they're considering pursuing estimated audits?
When we first started pursuing them, I dedicated very little in terms of internal resources. Used primarily external resources to pursue them. And those external resources would only get paid when they got me the audit and collected the money. Right? So then for me to be successful, it just had to bill additional premium, right? It just had to put dollars in our pocket, which it actually did. So if I were advising other companies, it's probably what I suggested to do, right? Same kind of similar model. You know, you don't want a lot of cost associated with it, and you know, but you want to see if there's any benefit to it out there, and I think you would very quickly find that there is.
Well, Wayne, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me today. I really appreciate it.